Donagakgeeya, Donagakgeeya, Donagakgeeya. How you doing, my friend? When is at an end? And it's time to mend and the garden tend. How you doing, my friend?
We're gonna start this presentation here. And I mentioned Deb Rieger at the beginning of the afternoon, and here she is in the flesh. Deb's been actually documenting what's been going on this weekend, so she has lots of footage. Deb is going to introduce Shirley.
Okay, well, it's really my honor and pleasure to introduce my friend as well, Shirly Hook, who is Chief Shirly Hook of the Koasek of Koas of the traditional band of the Abenaki Nation, recognized by the state of Vermont since 2010, and one of 4 recognized tribes. But I think the only tribe who has a rooted tribal garden growing the seed of the heirloom corn of the Koasek that's been growing in this county and maybe the next county over in Wells River, Vermont, by people who moved into the area and grew this corn for over 300 years in the same family and passing down that seed. And some years ago, I was really honored to be able to witness the seed being given back to the Koasek of Koas. And Shirley has taken that seed year after year and plants it in the tribal garden in Braintree, which is the family land of Kim Bent and Doug Bent here tonight. So we thank you for giving the space for this tribal garden to grow. And I hope that maybe this summer, since COVID is kind of slowing down, that you'll be able to visit the garden at some of the events that happen, because Doug will do identifying tracks, and Shirley will be also demonstrating making sauerkraut and how to preserve food and a lot of the foods that grow in the garden, as well as traditional storytelling that was happening that we filmed last summer. They were the stories that Carolyn Black Hunt, who's here, and Rick Hunt performed over many years of sharing the cultural traditions of the Abenaki people and also the northern woodlands native peoples of this area. So we took the stories that Carolyn had written down and people read the stories. And so we were really happy to be able to film that, and all possible because of Community Access TV, which is really cool. And one more plug. Rick and I are co-hosting Moccasin Tracks at a community radio station. So give a listen sometimes if you can. We're up in the north, Littleton, New Hampshire, but you can listen to us on the internet every Tuesday, noon to 2.
Where do they find you on the internet, Deb?
northcountrycommunityradio.org. So this is Shirley, who organizes planting parties. She has volunteers from, church organizations, community organizations. She's partnering with some really wonderful groups, the Food Bank, Hunger Free Vermont, NOVA, and other organizations that are contributing and helping to build the tribal garden. So I hope you'll be able to visit there sometime. We love going over. We try to film as much as we can over there. So this is Shirly Hook, and check out her book. She has a story in there that will bring tears to your eyes when you realize that it's about eugenics. And it's looking at eugenics from the eyes of a child, and it's her story. So I just want to point that out. And thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming today, and I thank Kim and Kathleen for having this event. It's been fun. It's been a journey, and I don't know if you want me to just start in or if you want to ask questions.
Why don't you start in, and then questions will come, and then I would suggest you can take your mask off while you speak.
Oh, thank God. Yes, we've been growing the garden for probably 6 or 7 years, and it now is producing pretty well. Last year, it didn't do too well because we had a lot of rain. And this year, well, hopefully it will produce a lot more. But we are teaching people how to raise vegetables from seedlings right up through harvesting, and we are teaching how to preserve, whether it's freezing, drying, or canning. And we have a canning shed where we're going to have classes, and the other shed that we have, we are teaching children how to garden and teaching them about animal tracks, all sorts of things. So they'll be interested in maybe having gardens when they're older. And we have, this year we raised over 800 seedlings. Last year, because of COVID, I lost my head, and we grew over 1,000. So we ran out of room. We had them in Doug's house, and the lady from Hunger Free Vermont says, "Oh no, you can't do this anymore. You have to get yourself a greenhouse." We get a greenhouse, but we have to have some help putting it up. So if anybody would like to volunteer.
Chief, I'm sorry, I missed where this is all located.
This is in West Braintree, Vermont.
West Braintree.
Yeah, and it's on Doug's property. He's been very generous about letting us use it. He just said I couldn't put any more sheds there. Bummer. No, we came a long ways, and now we're getting a few grants, which is very helpful. Before, we were living off whatever we could come up with, and that wasn't too much. But we kept going, and now people are visiting the garden, and we put up little signs like this around the gardens, and we put some benches out, and they'll actually stop in to see if we put anything else out to read. So that's pretty cool. And geez, I don't know what else to say. Any questions? Oh, Kim, go ahead.
I'm really struck by the variety of different corn that you have on display here.
Yeah, this is a sacred corn, and this came. This is one that Deb was talking about. The Jesuits were starving, and they had a missionary over in Newberry, and they didn't have any food. They didn't know how to grow the food, for one thing, because of the climate. And the natives, the Abenaki, went in and they donated corn for them to, and other things they had to eat, and they donated to the Jesuits too, so they could survive. And this corn was missing for over 350 years, and it was gifted back to the tribe a few years ago. And the family, the Green family, are the ones that, they got it from another family member that had grown it for like, I don't know how many years, hundreds of years. And then they kept it, it was not cross-pollinated. And the size of the corn is this big, so yeah. But anyways, we were lucky, so now we're back to be the caretakers of it. And it's really good to eat, just like regular corn, or you can twist the cobs, and then you can get dried corn after it's dry, and you can make it into cornmeal, and that's pretty good. Oh yeah, it's only this big too. It's very small.
From all the pollen in the air.
Oh, we only grow this, and the farmers aren't growing any corn near us. So we're lucky there, and this is the only corn that we do grow. So, so it's pretty precious, so we don't want to mess it up. Yes, Mike?
All of the food that's grown in the garden, how is it used?
We donate a lot to the people that come in that want vegetables. They'll stop in. We do a lot with the elders. We have 4 ladies that are in their 90s, and they're kind of unable to go to the stores or whatever, so we drop a bunch of stuff off for them. But if anybody wants vegetables, they can come to the garden and get it. And then like a lot of it, like the cabbage this past year, we made how much sauerkraut? We taught people how to...
72 pints.
Yeah, that's quite a bit of sauerkraut. And then we teach them how to make horseradish, because we had the horseradish on the farm there. And so that turns out pretty good. Pretty hot stuff. Just blows your ears off after you eat it. But we want to expand that and teach them how to do the regular canning of tomatoes, string beans, and the like. And we also have a seed exchange, and we save the seeds, and we use them the following year. And we have like 6 or 8 different Abenaki beans that we do that with. And it's a long process to get them to, you got to make sure the beans and the corn, everything has to be completely dry. Because if you put it in where it isn't dry, it will get moldy and you can't use it anymore. And the corn we hang from wherever we can, inside the cabins, hanging from the rafters and on the porch and everything else. And we also do herbs, and we do string beans once in a while. We make the leather breeches, they call it. And my mother used to put them on, use a needle and thread string beans all the way across and hang them from the windows. And then you put them in water, and they come back to life, which is kind of cool. Yes?
There's another question about your background, and are you learning as you go, or did you bring all this
Oh,
knowledge
no,
with you?
my mother used to can at least 1,000.
I mean, all the different varieties of growing.
Oh, Fred Wiseman, actually,
Oh, Fred
he was really instrumental as far as gathering a lot of their heirloom seeds.
Okay.
And these are all the seeds that we have, and you could see them right here in the little bottles.
Oh, yeah.
And we also do pit cooking, and Doug is very good at that. That's another thing. You want to explain the pictures up here?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Tag you, right?
Yes, the natives used to cook a lot of food on the ground when they had large gatherings, because the food is, you can cook a lot of food in a pit, a cooking environment. We did a powwow in Evansville one year. We cooked 16 turkeys in the ground, and they all turned out very good. It was over 250 people there. But in a pit we have at the house, we just cook one bird in it. You dig a hole 2 to 3 feet deep and 2 to 3 feet wide. You line it with rocks. And in this pit we have soapstone, because soapstone holds the heat so much better than any other rocks. You can use the round river rocks, which are fine to use, but the soapstone works the best for holding the heat. And we start a fire in that. We do it traditionally with flint and steel, and we burn the fire for approximately 2 hours. It's real hot. And corn husk, and that's to keep the ashes off the bird. And then we put the bird in there, and then on top we put another layer of corn husk, and on top of that we put a large rock to cover the whole opening, and then we build a small fire for a couple, 3 hours on top of that rock. And then we'll take and cover the whole thing with 3 or 4 inches of dirt, and then we'll leave it. We covered it here with a deer skin, and we'll leave it for 12 to 14 hours. And this is the result in the end. You can see the corn husks are all charred, and the turkey is actually roasted just like it would be in your oven. And they are super moist, because all the moisture from the corn husk incorporates into the bird. So it's a real good way to.
The best part is no aluminum foil.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no aluminum foil around. This is all traditional cooking method. We also, they talked about doing the animal tracks program as well, and we've, over the years, done a 6th grade challenge with the local school, and we've probably done that for 10 or 15 years. And they'll have like 60 or 70 6th graders come, and there's different events besides the animal track one, but this is our station. They have like 12 stations where they go around and learn different things. And at our station, the kids will be given this sheet and to look at, and then we'll be given a piece of paper with all the critters that are on the tracks that are here, and they'll have to match the critter up with the track. And Chief Shirley does a real good job with that as far as identifying and giving them, I won't say clues, but hints. You know, because this has sizes on it. Like these 2 prints right here are pretty much exactly the same. Well, this one's 1.5 inches, and that one's is 7 to 9 inches, which would be a bear, and this is a skunk. No. So Shirley really does a good job, and a lot of these kids who have never, really studied tracks before, with Shirley's help, they'll actually, some of them get 100 on it. It's incredible how well they do with just a subtle, hints.
It's called listening. If they listen to you, they'll figure.
Process of elimination.
Exactly. And
one thing about the Koasek corn, just want to touch on this, is it grew, like Shirley said, only 2 or 3 feet high, and it's a really small ear. Well, that corn was really gentle on the soil, because natives didn't fertilize the garden like we do today with cow manure and whatnot. I mean, they did use fish remains and put in the garden, and we have tried that. But the neighborhood dogs and the coyotes,
it doesn't work.
yeah, and we spend more time replanting, so so we've gotten away from that. But yeah, so the Koasek corn, it wasn't a big corn. It didn't take a lot of nutrients out of the soil, so you could plant it in the same spot from year to year.
To get some grants. People heard about us. Actually, some lady called. This was way back October 2 years ago, and she said, "Can I ask you some questions?" And I said, "Sure." And she was just asking all these random questions. And what I didn't realize, she worked for Hunger Free Vermont. And so, what was it, in the spring, I get an email, and I said, "I'm too tired to read it, but it looks like we got a grant or something." I said, "I'm not really sure, but I'm too tired to read it." So the next morning we get up, and I said, "Okay, we better look at this email." So I looked at it, and I said, "Yeah, it looks like we probably got $300 or $400 or something." So we called her up, and she said, "How much was that?"
$10,000.
It was $10,000. And we were going, we thought it was a joke. And so we called, and so it was for real. She sent a check, and then somebody else heard about us, and they did the same thing. So it was like, wow, this is cool. And yeah, we're fortunate. And we ended up with a couple sheds, and we got a greenhouse we got to put up.
Wow.
And Rick, yes, dear?
Can you tell us about ground cherries? I was so...
Oh, ground cherry.
those.
Yes, I grew how many of those? About 100 seedlings this year. And they look like tomatillas. They got the little paper,
Oh, yeah.
It looks like a little gift. And so I planted some, 2 years ago, and then I started growing them myself. And this year I got about 100 plants to put in. But they grow, my God, one of them grew to be this big and about this tall. And the ground cherries are so good. Then you don't pick them, you let them fall off the bush onto the ground and then pick them and eat them. So, yeah,
Hence ground cherries.
they're ground cherries. And we got 3 different heirloom ones.
And cherries, they're real cherries?
They're like little, almost like a little tomato. They almost look like a little
They
tomato.
have a little pit in them?
They have little seeds in them, but yeah,
And
little
it's like the
seeds.
smoothest, sorry, it's like the smoothest skin ever. Like I was just, when I ate them for the first time, I was like, wow, it's so smooth. Like it's weird, but yeah, they're like little tomatoes almost.
They're almost like a grape.
Yeah.
Oh, they're really good. A lot of people make wine out of them or the salsa. Yeah, there's a lot of recipes out there. So if you guys want to plant, let me know and come down and get it.
Is that a tradition?
Yes, it is. And I didn't really realize that until somebody told me. And actually on the Vermont, for foraging for different foods in the forest and stuff, you can't pick them because they say they're becoming, in the wild, they're almost extinct, I guess. So I'm glad that we found the heirloom seeds we did. So, but if you wanted to do the seeds yourself, dry them, you got to wait until they completely dry like a raisin, and then you put them in a blender with a little bit of water and blend it, and the seeds will fall to the ground or to the bottom of it. So what you do is dump it on a paper towel, and get the water off it and let it dry, and then scrape them off when they're completely dry and put them in a little jar. But it's time consuming. So, but they're fun. So if you want some plants, you guys let me know. You're more than welcome.
How does one find you? Do you have a website?
Well, it depends on the day if I want to be found. No. Well, you know, because if you see somebody you don't want to see, you go hide behind one of the sheds or something. Well, give us a call, so I have to do.
Shirley's daughter, Amy Hook-Therrien. You have her artwork on display throughout the series. And so that's going to be up for another week. And Amy's here. Welcome to ask her questions about her work. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. I have always been into art, and my parents, all three of them, when I was getting ready to go to college, they told me that I had to go to art school. So that was really awesome. And so I went to the University of Maine in Orono, and I got a BFA. Oh, take off my mask. Sorry. And then I came home, and I've been pursuing becoming a full-time artist for, the past 11 years now. So it's been slow, but steady. And most of my work is nature-based. I'm obsessed with birch trees and dead leaves. Weird, but I like to find the imperfect in nature. So a torn leaf or, a flower missing petals, that really inspires me. I don't like things to be exact, to be perfect. And so, most of my paintings are based in nature. I have been branching out, pun intended, and to other things, like structures, but it's always based in New England. I just can't stop doing art, so this is how it goes. And Mom asked me when she wrote her book, My Bring Up, if I would illustrate it for her. And I said yes. And it was a really great project to do together because we actually got to brainstorm. I read her book like 10,000 times, trying to come up with different images that might work. But it was a really great collaboration because if it was I had to do skates, well I had to figure out what type of skates, and so I got to kind of see her history in a different way, which was really awesome. I had never seen a picture of where she grew up before, and she found a picture of like a corner of it one day, and then she had to describe the rest of it to me. So it's just different things like that, helping to depict our history a little bit. It was a really fun project and a really wonderful book. Yes.
Where are you going to be next, next month or whatever?
So I'm really excited that I was chosen to be the Marsh-Billings-Rockerfeller National Historic Park in Woodstock, Vermont. I was chosen to be their artist in residence this season. So starting in June until October. I have a studio. I'll have a studio there, so people can come by and watch me paint. And yeah, I'm super excited. It's gonna be awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, so that was really fun. And I have a couple of shows coming up. One at Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center, and one at North Branch Nature Center in Montpelier. And so I'm really excited about those. Those are going to be going up in July.
Was it 2019, you were voted Artist of the Year?
For the Vermont Abenaki Artists Association.
And then COVID happened, so she's still reigning as Artist of the Year.
I know, I guess so. I don't know. I don't know watercolor. And I do pen and ink first to get those crisp lines and small details, and then I go over it with watercolor. And I paint on watercolor paper, and then I frame them. And yeah, I love to work with watercolor just because, one, it's pretty inexpensive, and two, you can take it anywhere. As long as you have paper and paintbrushes and paint and all this other stuff. But yeah, you can do it pretty much anywhere, and it's super easy to bring with you, and you can do it anywhere. Like on plein air, it makes it super simple. You don't need an easel and all this other stuff, like those amazing, Hudson Valley painters with their berets. And, you can just sit on the ground and just paint. But yeah, so I've been working with this medium for 12 years now. And I'm still learning. There's so many different techniques, and yeah, so I'm always learning, but it's been a fun process.
Keep up the good work.
And these paintings are for sale, if you like, as well as the note card.
My friend. Some say Uli Bom Kami, just as they are leaving. That means good canoeing, friend, so do not go grieving. Donagakgeeya, 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 Donagakgeeya. How you doing, my friend? Winter's at an end, and it's time to mend and the garden tend. How you doing, my friend? Uli na na ma we see. Be in good health, safe and sound. There is no word for goodbye, 'cause we'll be seeing you around. Donagakgeeya, 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 Donagakgeeya.